Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2024 and a new experiment today where we're taking a look at what would happen if you put a transfer ban on the top 230 teams in Europe. So rather than go league by league, what I've done is sort European teams by highest reputation to lowest, and the top 230 teams in Europe have been put under a transfer ban until the year 2050. So in the Premier League, naturally that covers pretty much every single team in there. So you can see Arsenal, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Brentford, they're all under transfer ban except for one Premier League team, and that is Luton Town, because their reputation is so low in Premier League football. Even Bournemouth managed to qualify for a ban, but not Luton Town. And if we go down to the Championship, you'll see even teams like Leicester have got the ban, but not Luton Town. So Luton Town may well be the biggest beneficiaries of this if they can hang on to Premier League status, but that does seem a little bit unlikely based on my experience of the game. But if we look at La Liga, it is the same for Alaves and basically every team in Spain as well. They're all under ban. If we go to the Bundesliga, naturally, as you would expect, they are also all going to be under a ban. We have a team that's not. Darmstadt are not under a ban. Neither are Heidenheim. And these are obviously recently promoted teams in German football. Italy, it's the same. The Eredivisie, I don't have the league loaded. But if we look at Ajax, they're under a ban. Even if we go down to the Jupiler Pro League in Belgium and have a look at Antwerp, they're under a ban. Cercle Bruges are not. Club Bruges would be because they're a little bit more renowned internationally. And then lots of Russian teams were banned, even though they don't play in European competition because they're quite highly rated. I'm just trying to see where we might have a lower team. What about in Hungary? I think they've probably managed to escape the ban. Nope. Ferencvárosi also got a ban. So you can see how extensive this ban is. It goes all the way through the top tier of European football. Most Champions League teams would naturally now be banned from transfers. And they're banned until the year 2050. So it's a 27-year transfer ban for 230 teams. And what we're going to do is go forward to the year 2050, see what's happened in the leagues, who's benefited most from this ban, and then see if there's ways that teams can circumvent the ban as well. So let me know in the comments your predictions for what you think is going to happen and who's going to be the dominant team in English and European football. And remember to like the video if you're enjoying experiments like these, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of them. But let's go forward to the year 2049, 1 year before this ban is lifted, and see the state of European football. Well, if we start off with the Premier League, given most of my viewers are English, according to the demographics, we can see Luton Town did not manage to benefit from their avoidance of a transfer ban. They went bottom of the league and got relegated. And then after that, a bit of usual stability, as you would expect in the Premier League. West Ham doing well, pushing up. Arsenal become champions. They do have a lot of very good wonder kids. You see Norwich now starting to qualify for the Conference League. They're moving up the table. West Ham in the top 5, and then Norwich moving even further up the table. And then they do qualify for the Champions League alongside West Ham. And then just in the year 2032-33, Liverpool and Everton both go down together. Very interesting that that's happened. Aston Villa now helping make up the top 4. Newcastle go down despite all the money. They can't spend it. So they have gone down as well. Man City dropping to 8th place as Norwich continue their charge up the table. West Ham finally win a title as Newcastle finish bottom. And then Chelsea managing to take a title as well. What was that there? Rotherham going down. But a team just above the relegation zone, Brighton qualifying for the Europa League. Chelsea get a title as Newcastle and Liverpool go down together. Man City charging back at the table. Arsenal winning a title. Norwich going into administration, obviously overextending themselves as Manchester United get relegated at the same time. So Man United's class of 92 did not recreate itself in these conditions as Manchester United go down. Norwich pushing towards the title, finishing in second place. Chelsea, the dominant team. United getting relegated again after coming straight back up. But Norwich not quite able to make their way to the title, and Manchester United become a yo-yo club up and down as Villa get a title, City in second, and then City do manage to win a title as Liverpool finish bottom. Norwich in second place by 3 points, and this is the most recent league table. Now, if we have a look at the transfers that have taken place in the Premier League over this time, you can see at the top there, Luton. There'll be a few pre-arranged transfers taking place. So Lewis Hall there going for 28 million. Watford with a big signing of Alex Garcia. Obviously, they're not under embargo. Cancelo leaving Man City for 55 million. And then Arsenal signing Joe Gomez for 45.5. Bournemouth making transfers. Chelsea making transfers. I can't imagine that that's pre-arranged. Sheffield United were under a ban as well. And then the following season, West Ham and Arsenal spending 100 million. It has been 4 years, and yet they're spending money already. Diogo Jota moving. West Ham spending money. And I guarantee this ban is still in place. Chelsea suddenly spending 91 million on Scalvini. Norwich suddenly opening up the taps as well. So something is happening. Clubs are managing to get out of this ban somehow. We'll have a look at what's happening soon, but you can see which teams, we saw the same teams towards the top of the table. Look at that, 184 million spent by Chelsea. Norwich also spending money, but Arsenal, Chelsea, even Man City now avoiding the ban as well. This is proper dodgy that these teams have managed to do this, get out of the ban so early. Aston Villa spending a fortune, but you can see the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool not appearing here, and then struggling and getting relegated. But even Milan there spending money as well. So something is happening that is giving these teams a get out of jail free card. You can see Rotherham spending 66 million. They've managed to benefit from it. Paderborn spending a lot of money. Very interesting. So something has happened here. So the earliest offender was way back. You had West Ham spending money, Arsenal spending money. Let's have a look at their landmarks. So this is just a few years in that this started to happen. It doesn't say anything about the ban being lifted, but the owner leaves and a new owner comes in. And that must be what is causing the reset. The other team that got away with this early on was West Ham. So let's have a little look if West Ham have managed to do it as well. And indeed, they had a tycoon come in and start spending an enormous amount of money. So they moved to the Bobby Moore Park, an 84,700-seater stadium. And they did that very early as well, the Bobby Moore Park, 2028. West Ham moving to a new stadium. That does not make any sense at all. But neither does them circumventing a transfer ban. Is that how it works? If you get a global transfer ban, you just need a new owner and then you can get out of whatever caused your ban? I don't think that's how it works in football. But apparently it does here. I didn't put any stipulations on it, like going into administration. I just put a straight up ban on these teams. And yet they have managed to circumvent the ban. And it means that the current Premier League table, I mean, if we look at it in a bit of detail. So last season, Man City finishing top, Norwich, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs all up there. West Ham and Leeds up there as well, Aston Villa as well. But then you do have a bit of change. Plymouth, Bolton, Burnley, Palace, Rotherham, and then Manchester United, who have absolutely yo-yoed all over the place. But they're now out of a ban as well. So let's have a look. When did they get a new owner? So they had a tycoon come in 2044, but they had a promotion from within, but they didn't have new owners come in. And that's why they've not spent money for some time. If we look at their senior squad, most of their players, I would imagine, are going to be academy graduates. Some players did join a few years ago, but yeah, most of them look like they're academy graduates at least. So the ban did work for Manchester United. That's why they were getting relegated as much as they were. But Liverpool, if we drop down the leagues, they were the other big relegation alongside Newcastle. And you can see, where did Liverpool finish? 15th, just below Wrexham. And then Newcastle, where were they? They just got relegated again, that's why. If we drop down to League One and have a look at last season, Nottingham Forest down in League One and struggling. Leicester in 23rd because they were also under embargo. League 2, anybody down here? Southampton, down to League 2, 10th place. Just check nobody else got relegated out of this league. Southampton did get relegated out of the Football League a few years ago. So they have struggled with that ban, really knocking them down the leagues. It looks like they were the only major casualty to fall out of league football was Manchester City in England. If we have a look at the winners in Ligue 1, you can see Paris Saint-Germain there winning a lot. Lorient managed to get one, Rennes managed to get one, and most recently Saint-Etienne and Valenciennes both getting titles, and they've moved to second in the league rankings. Serie A, if we look at the past winners here, Milan, Napoli, Milan, no real change. When did Milan get their new owner? I'm imagining it was very early on. Well, the chairman left and a new one was appointed, but I don't think that's the same as having a new owner. Yeah, the new owner came in. Oh, that was a failed bid. Took over in 2043, so were they making transfers in 2042? No, they weren't. They were successfully under embargo for a long time. So they actually were just winning titles because they had a really good youth team. But it made it really hard for other teams to step up. You can see Frosinone did manage to move up the table, but other teams not quite as lucky. If we just have a look at that league table, you can see where everybody's finishing here. Any big relegations out of here? Fiorentina went down, Bologna, Genoa going down. Juventus did get relegated 38-39, but they managed to come back up later in the game. In La Liga, what has been happening here? If we look at the past winners, Real Madrid still up there. Barcelona falling off a bit more. They dominated to begin with and then dropped off and haven't won a title in some time as Villarreal has started to take over. I can imagine it's probably more difficult for these teams to avoid the ban. But you can see Barcelona up there in fourth. Just do another little check, see if any major teams got relegated at any point. But it looks like they all managed to avoid it. And if we have a look at the transfers for a club like Barcelona, they've been under embargo for a very, very long time. And they are still under embargo. It's very difficult for them to escape the embargo. Xavi is still in charge. That is mad. But you can see that all of their players here are going to be La Masia graduates, which is, at least it worked for one club. I mean, so many getting out of there, but because of their ownership structure, it's actually really hard for Barcelona to get a new owner. I imagine that's the same for Real Madrid as well, because they're fan owned, and so you have elections, makes it quite hard to get a new owner in. So Real Madrid also have been successfully under embargo, which makes it all the more impressive that they've managed to win as much as they have. Atletico Madrid, have they managed to avoid the ban? Nope, they managed to get out of the ban quite some time ago, which is why they are dominant. You can see there, 3 years in, they managed to do it, evade the ban. And yet, if we look at the past winners of La Liga, it took them forever to dismantle Barcelona and Real Madrid's supremacy. They got one title there, and now they are dominant in Spanish football, but it really did take a long time. In the Bundesliga, Paderborn have taken over from Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich are also fan-owned. So let's just have a little look at their most recent transfer windows. Yep, they are still fan-owned and under embargo for another year. So that's why, despite that, they were dominant for absolutely ages and then finally dropped off quite significantly. But it took a really long time. You can see Dortmund up there as well. Not able to make transfers either. So the German league not actually changing too much given all of that. So Paderborn finished top, Leverkusen second, Dortmund third. Actually, there has been a fair amount of change in there. Lots of new teams appearing in the German league. And Bayern Munich finishing down in 7th place. So quite a bit of change there. I mean, despite being, I guess they got out of their ban quite quickly as well. Although elections, maybe they didn't. Let's have a look at their transfer history. No, they have been dominant in Portuguese football despite being under embargo. You just cannot change the way it works. A lot more variation in Austria. In the Eredivisie, Ajax still winning, but let's see if they got out of their ban. Nope, they're still under ban as well. So they're academy graduates doing a fantastic job. And if we just have a look at these league rankings, No major surprises down here. Little look at the Jupiler Pro, you can see the same teams winning there despite being under ban. But interestingly, like the Saudi League, not climbing up these rankings, not much change overall. And if we do just have a look at the Champions League, then we can see the past winners of this competition have all been English. Obviously, the English clubs evaded this transfer embargo earlier than anybody else. Arsenal in particular, then Chelsea. Norwich did win a Champions League though. That's at least one major shock came of this. West Ham got a couple too. Bayern Munich managed to win one despite being under embargo and under pressure from these teams. I mean, that's nice that it was Bayern Munich and Barcelona both playing academy graduates in the final. And then Aston Villa had a little run of success. Rennes managed to make it in there as well. But disappointing that the English teams have absolutely dominated that competition. In the Europa League, a few more surprises. Frosinone in there. Toulouse managed to win one, Valenciennes, Lorient. And in the Conference League, Plymouth managed to win in the Conference League. That's the best one of the lot because they have struggled to get up there and yet somehow managed to win the Conference League. Bournemouth, Como winning one as well. So I think Como now managed by Cesc Fabregas, if I remember correctly. Nice as well. But not quite the seismic shift I would have expected. Now, what I will do very quickly now is just jump forward to about 10, 15 years in the future and see if there's been a permanent shift in the landscape of European football or if the big teams are just going to come roaring back in the Champions League. Well, we are further forward into the future, 2065, 15 years after the ban ended, a full life cycle for some professional footballers. And this is how the table looked in the Premier League when we left off. Rotherham, surprisingly, charging to the top now that everybody else is able to spend all of their money. Man City winning titles as well. But no huge surprises in how this is all shaping up. Rotherham do manage to win a title on goal difference from Arsenal. A really tight finish at the top of the Premier League there. No sign of Liverpool yet coming back into the top flight. Norwich winning a title. Man United starting to climb back up as Rotherham start fighting for titles as well. But Liverpool evidently still struggling despite the ban being lifted. And you can see Rotherham finishing second with Norwich in third. So there has been a little bit of a permanent shift at the top of English football. Liverpool down in ninth place, struggling to get out of their situation in League One. What have we got here? Leicester down in League One, Nottingham Forest down in League One, and then in League Two, we can see Southampton have dropped out of league football yet again. But otherwise, not too many surprises down there. So the big shock really being Rotherham coming storming back to the top of English football. A couple of titles and then a few runner-up finishes. Norwich up there as well. But otherwise, no major surprises in terms of who's come back. The league hasn't changed much from when the ban was lifted. You can see the French league's dropped down to fifth and Italian league is now up in second. Past winners here, Milan have come storming back. Como up near the top, but not able to win a title. In the Bundesliga, past winners, Bayern Munich, the main team to benefit from this. Paderborn have dropped off significantly. In La Liga, if we have a look, Atletico Madrid continued their dominance. Real Madrid not able to come back. Barcelona not able to come back at the title. They're down in fourth now. And not quite able to get to the summit. In Ligue 1, you can see Paris Saint-Germain did come storming back, so they are back at the top of the game. And now the Austrian League up in sixth place, then the Eredivisie, and then the Portuguese League dropping further down. So a little bit of change in those rankings, but nothing too serious. And if we have a look at the Champions League past winners, Rotherham have managed to win 2 Champions League titles. That's more like what I was hoping to see. Frosinone managed to win one as well. So actually, when you think about how dominant the English teams have been there, the lifting of the ban has benefited other teams more. Milan getting 3 titles, Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid winning them. Como getting to a final as well, as did Benfica, who are also under a ban. So they've done really well to come back. Bayer Leverkusen up there as well. That's quite nice to see. Europa League, not too many changes. Man United are back in the Europa League where they belong, winning a couple of trophies. Rotherham managed to win one of these as well. And then in the Conference League, Lugano, a Swiss team, managing to get to a final. Midtjylland from Denmark managed to win one. It's quite nice. Slovan Liberec making it into the final. Austria Vienna. So some of the smaller European nations getting to European finals, which is also nice to see. But there's not been a huge amount of change in world football. What I'm going to do actually is just look at the Ballon d'Or and see who's been winning it, which academy graduates have been able to take this through the time of the ban. And you can see not a lot of change. The Wonder Kids come in, and it's Chelsea who are buying the best players. Lorient, Rotherham start getting some of them. They've got this guy Martin Dominguez who starts to do really well and win all of the Ballon d'Ors. I mean, he's got sensational stats there. He's a winger, he's Spanish, and he came out of Girona, and Rotherham just stole him during the embargo. But I think that will be it for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and let me know if you know a way for me to make sure this ban stays in place full time, and we might run this experiment again. But until next time, see ya.